Okay. All right, if anybody's there, it looks like we are actually, oh, good, good, good. Okay, thank you, Daisy. I am gonna go get a hair tie and be right back. Okay. All right, hi everybody. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes until we actually hit noon and then get started. Good to see some of you guys here. Hi, Jennifer. And yay. I apologize about last week. I will talk about that when I get started. All right. All right. Okay, everybody. It isn't quite noon yet. It's 11:59, but I'm gonna get started talking, and then we can get started in a couple of minutes. So I apologize about last week. I see that today I am on. There was something weird that was happening last week, and I wasn't positive that I was being recorded, and so that odd feeling that I always have, that I'm just standing in my living room doing yoga and talking to myself, turned out to be true. I was standing in my living room doing yoga and talking to myself. So I apologize about the technical difficulty, and I want to remind you guys that anytime, and hopefully you already figured this out, but anytime that I have a glitch, which I also hope doesn't happen ever again, actually, but I can't rule out that possibility, There's my videos that I have pre-recorded and uploaded onto YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can also access them if you scroll down on the Facebook page. I don't have a whole lot more on my Dr. Debbie Pates page than my videos. I may change that, but I don't know. Anyway, and if you want, there's also tons of other really amazing instructors, some that you do have to pay for and a lot that you don't even have to pay for that you could also access online. So, as I sort of mentioned a minute ago, my name is Dr. Debbie Pates, and I am a clinician, a psychologist at the UCCS Wellness Center, and I have been teaching yoga for a number of years in partnership with the Gallery of Contemporary Arts, also on campus, as part of Wellness Wednesdays. And so this is virtual yoga at GOCA, aka yoga in your living room, or wherever you might be practicing. Maybe some of you guys are outside on this beautiful, cool day. So thank you for joining and having faith that I would be back today. And without further ado, why don't we get started? So come on into child's pose. Maybe you spread your knees wide, your feet together, or maybe you keep your knees together, and whichever one you choose, come forward and rest your forehead on your mat. If your knees are wide, you might stretch your arms out in front of you. If your knees are together, you can stretch your arms out in front of you, or you could have your hands alongside your body, palms facing up. And just allow your body to settle here, allow your body to rest, and let your head be on the earth. Let that be the first point of contact that's important. I mean, I guess really your knees, your feet, your legs are the first point of contact that's important, because without that you don't have any basic support. But then let your head drop. Let your brain rest. I am going to challenge your brain during this practice a little bit, I hope. So for right now, just let your brain rest. And scan your physical body. See how you're showing up today. Perhaps you feel lots of freedom in movement. Maybe you're feeling very energetic. Perhaps something different. Recovering from an injury or just feeling tired. And whatever it is, allow that to be present for you without trying to be reactive to it. And a lot of what I'm going to challenge you today is to try to really step into non-reactivity in the face of discomfort. I'll explain that more as we continue. But for right now, practice just being non-reactive to whatever it is that's showing up. Right? And notice what your reaction is. If you're feeling really energetic and ready to flow, you might be saying, why are we sitting here in child's pose for so long? And that's fine. It's fine if that's what showed up for you. And I just invite you to be present with it. Push up onto your hands and knees. Bring your hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. And to go on into some cat-cows. Inhaling, dropping your stomach, lifting your gaze. Exhaling, rounding your spine, chin to chest, tucking your tailbone. You want to tap out your feet a little bit. That feels good. Sometimes we don't like to do that in a class because it makes noise and nobody wants to be the first one to start it. But who cares? You're at your house. Nobody can even hear you anyway. And if they can, just stop and pretend you didn't even know what was going on. Okay, come on back to neutral. And what I want you to do is tuck your toes and sit back on your heels. Toes pose. So moving right away into something that for most of us is a little bit uncomfortable. And let's sit. If this is excruciating for you, like in a sharp pain kind of way, then back out of it. But if it just feels intense, you can certainly modify. You can bring your hands in front of you to lessen it. If you feel okay and you want more, you can bring your hands back behind you, maybe on a block, maybe all the way to the floor. Make adjustments as you need, but I invite you, you can sit and breathe, bring your hands to heart center maybe. To recognize that life is not always comfortable. And sometimes you need to be able to sit with that discomfort. So over the past few weeks, as of course you guys know, I am a psychologist, I've been having a lot of very difficult conversations with people. Breathe, breathe, breathe. You can come forward, take a little break, but breathe. You're actually doing a really great service to your feet, staying in this position. I've been having a lot of difficult conversations with people about race, about their experience as people of color, and needing to sit with my own reactivity and my own discomfort. Come on forward. Untuck your toes gently. You were there for a while if you stayed with me the whole time. Come back into hands and knees. And just allow your toes, you can wiggle them around a little bit. And then walk your hands forward. Come into a high plank position. Lift your hips, downward facing dog. And pedal out your dog if you need to, if you want to bend one knee and let the opposite heel sink down. And then switch sides, do it on the other side. And then eventually come into stillness. And in these conversations, I've been really aware of my own reactivity, my own not wanting to feel uncomfortable, even though I am feeling uncomfortable, and how important it is for me to be able to tolerate that discomfort in order to have the really important conversations that need to be had. And so it's an issue of getting comfortable with discomfort, getting non-reactive to discomfort. Take a bunch of baby steps, walk to the top of the mat. Hang and ragdoll, make a choice. Do you want your feet together? Do you want your feet apart? Do you want to bend your knees, and if so, how much? Do you want to straighten your knees, and if so, to what degree? Bend your elbows, or don't. You make choices. Make this a practice that works for you. And wherever you are, I invite you to really feel your feet firmly pressing into the ground, to feel your breath rising up. Imagine you can feel it rising up from the earth through your legs and then cascading over your butt and down your back, helping your head release, helping your neck release, your jaw. Maybe shake out your jaw, your head even right here. And then let's do some movement. So, soften your knees if they're not already soft. Firm up your stomach and allow your arms to tee out into the flat back. Rise all the way up to standing. Bring your hands together overhead and bring your hands into your heart. Maybe feel your heart beating against your thumbs. Maybe engage your quadriceps, lift your kneecaps. Stand here tall, feeling yourself strong, grounded, Ready for your practice? And let's begin. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, dive your hands through, heart center to forward fold. Hands on your shins, lengthen your back, halfway lift. Forward fold, take that length down with you. Sweep your arms out, rise up, bring your hands together overhead, and pull your hands into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Dive. So you want to come to a flat back. For many of us, that's hands on shins. Maybe you can do that with your hands on the ground. Fold, fold. One more time, rise. Growing our flow. Hands together overhead. Energy into your heart. What if you could live from your heart? Inhale your arms up. Dive forward. Halfway lift. Moving into sun A, complete flow, hands down, high plank. And then you make a choice. Do you want to drop your knees or with knees lifted lower, down, halfway or all the way, upward facing dog or cobra, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. Let your heels sink down toward the ground. Let your arms be strong and your palms be firmly planted. Navel toward your spine, lifting your hips. Drop your heels again. Look in between your hands. And step to the top of your mat, jump, flow, whatever you like. Halfway lift, lengthen your back. Fold, fold, crown of your head toward the floor. Sweep your arms out, engage your stomach with a flat back. Rise, hands together, hands to your heart. Lift your arms up. Fold, fold, half lift. Step back, high plank. Lower to the ground, or halfway, upward facing dog or cobra. Lift your hips, downward facing dog. Look in between your hands and step to the top of your space. Halfway lift. Fold, fold. Rise up. Hands together overhead. Hands into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Fold. Halfway lift. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga or laying on the ground. Upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Look in between your hands and step, jump, hop to the top of your space. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold, fold. Sweep your arms out with a firm stomach. Rise to standing. Bring your hands overhead and pull your energy into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Utkatasana chair. And let's hold. We can't always escape uncomfortable situations. And I think right now, we know, right? For all of this time, breathe while you're here. All of this time that we've been isolated in our homes and had to make adjustments. For some people, that's been not so much of a change, and for some people, it's been really dramatic and really unpleasant. But we've done it, and we've had to bear that discomfort, right? Breathe. And so we've been able to do that. And then in the midst of doing that, and perhaps in the midst of doing that, and perhaps because of it, right? Maybe because we were that much more isolated, I don't really know. Breathe. If you need to move your hand position, if you need to stand up a little bit, if you need to maybe engage your stomach a little bit more, do that. Maybe because of our more time. I don't really know why, right? All of a sudden, of course, there was the George Floyd incident, which was extremely dramatic. But there's been lots of dramatic incidences of racism in our country, and it hasn't created this. And now we're here, and we have this fabulous, amazing, invaluable opportunity to make real change. And that's going to be uncomfortable, forward fold. Let's move into sun B. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Step back, high plank. Lower, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your left heel sink down a little bit and lift your right heel up. You want to bend your knee and open up your hip. Make circles, let it feel good. Bring your right leg back up and step through for a low lunge. Drop your back knee. If you need to cushion your knee, go ahead and fold your mat under a little bit. And rise up, crescent moon. Sink into your right knee to open up your left hip flexor. If you want to bring your hands up, you can go ahead and bring your hands up. But we just had our hands up for a while, and if you're feeling tired, and maybe you prefer to have your hands down on your thigh, you can even actually kind of push your thigh bone away from you and pull your right hip back. That can feel nice, creating some more space. And then you lift up, lift your stomach up and away, just getting a lot of space in your body. And then bring your hands from wherever they were, bring them down, one on either side of your right foot. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee. Step back to high plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, or cobra, downward facing dog. Let your right heel sink a little bit and lift your left knee. So it's not about your right heel touching the ground. Bend your knee, open it up, make circles if you want. Although maybe for some of you guys it will, right? But it's just about not coming all the way up on your right toes because you lifted your left foot. The funny thing that we do. And then bring your left leg back, bring it through, drop your right knee, untuck your right toes and rise up. Crescent moon. Sink into your left knee to open up your right hip flexor. If you want to raise your arms, raise your arms. Maybe if you did that leg thing, you take your hands and you kind of push your left thigh away, thigh bone away. Pull your left hip crease back. Rise up, lengthen your spine. So we have this amazing opportunity to make changes. But for a lot of us, what's going to come before the change is going to be really uncomfortable. Because we need to look at how we have been complicit in what's happening. And I invite you right now to notice whether you're becoming reactive even to what I'm saying. I'm not a bad person. I've had troubles in my life. You're not a bad person. Everybody's had troubles. Bring your hands down. But notice that tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, step back to high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, to downward facing dog. Notice the tendency to become reactive. Look in between your hands and step, jump, walk to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale. Fold, fold. Bend your knees. Utkatasana, chair pose. Stand up, bring your hands together, and bring your hands into your heart. Inhale your arms up. Sink into chair. Fold, fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, put your hands down. Step back to high plank. Lower, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Bend your knee and bring it through for a low lunge. Keep your back heel lifted and rise. Crescent lunge. So crescent moon, your back heel is down. Crescent lunge, your back heel is lifted. But I didn't mean heel, I meant knee. And then bring your torso forward and your arms behind you, airplane pose with your upper body, crescent with your lower body. Rise back up again, spin your back heel flat, open up warrior two. Allow your right knee to track over your right pinky toe. Back foot is trying to be at a 45-degree angle. Arms reach out. Right arm forward, left arm back, your body centered. And then flip your right palm, take a reverse warrior. Let your right knee come forward as your left hand reaches back. Whoa. Maybe you lose your balance. I think we're going to do a lot of losing our balance along the way because we're going to be regaining a different sense of balance. Helicopter your hands down to the mat. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Bend your knee and bring it through for a low lunge. Keep your right heel lifted. Rise to crescent. Take a breath or two in crescent. Find the posture. Find your balance here. And then bring your hands behind you, your chest forward, palms face the ground, airplane torso. Rise back up again and spin your heels, warrior two. Let your left knee this time track out over your left pinky toe. Sink into your left knee. Your right foot is turning 45 degrees if it can. Maybe you just have the pinky edge of your right foot parallel with the edge of your mat. Flip your left palm and reverse your warrior. Keep your knee tracking forward as your left hand reaches back. Maybe you look up at your left hand. Maybe you look down at your right foot. And then windmill your hands down to the mat. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Look in between your hands. Step, jump, hop. Top of your space. Half lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Fold, fold, Uttanasana. Bend your knees. Rise to chair. Stand up. And bring your hands to your heart. And pause. Inhale your arms up. Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Step back, high plank. Lower chaturanga or all the way to the floor. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Bend your knee, bring it through for a low lunge. Spin your back foot flat this time and rise to warrior one. Clasp your hands behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Squeeze your palms together if you want. Open up your heart. Maybe lift your gaze here. We're going to need to open up our hearts a lot. We're going to need to step out of defensiveness. And we're going to need to listen. Bow forward. We're going to definitely need to be humble. Bring your right shoulder to the inside of your right knee. And bring your right hip back in a little bit. It tends to jut out a lot. Let your hands come off your back as high as feels good to you. Let your head be on the softer side. Rise back up, warrior one. Open, warrior two. Straighten your right knee. And let's take triangle. Reach forward, reach as high, as far out as you can, sticking out your left hip, and then tilt. You can't reach anymore. And maybe use that humility, some of that humility, right, to just reach out and then and tilt without dipping down, right? So it isn't about how far your hand goes down your leg. It's about creating length and space on both sides of your body. Your left arm can reach up. If you want, you could drop your left arm behind your back and bind here, trying to grab onto the edge of your right thigh with your left hand. Just another way to open up your shoulder, but it's not a better way. There's a different way. You're bound. Unbind, reach your arm up. You bend your knee, come to warrior two. And windmill your hands down. Step back, high plank. Lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Same thing, other side. Lift your left leg up and bring it through low lunge. Spin your right foot flat and rise to warrior one. Clasp your hands behind your back. If you remember which way you clasp your hands, do the opposite way. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Open up your heart. Open up your heart. Be open rather than defensive. Be open rather than reactive, and bow with humility. Bring your left shoulder to the inside of your left knee. Tuck your left hip in a little bit, and again, let your hands come off your back. Breathe. Allow your body to open in its time. So however this posture looks for you today, however this posture is showing up for you, okay, just let that be what it is. Rise back up, warrior two. Or warrior one, open a warrior two. Straighten your left knee. Reach, 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 reach. Send your right hip out as you send your left hip forward. And triangle. Enjoy the deliciousness of this posture. Try to keep both sides of your body flat and long. As always, you can look up with your hand or down, depending on how your neck feels. Maybe you want to drop your right hand behind your back and bind. For some people, this feels good. For some people, this is unachievable. For some people, it hurts. So you decide. And right, again, discomfort is different than pain. Pain is, woo, don't do that. Discomfort is something to tolerate, to learn to tolerate. Maybe that's why we come to our mat. Right arm back up again, bend your left knee, come to warrior two, and then windmill your hands down to your mat. Step back, high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths. And drop to your knees. I don't know if I gave you time to take a couple of breaths, actually. Drop to your knees, walk a little forward on your mat. Separate your feet wider than your hips and sit in between your heels. Virasana Hero's Pose. If this is okay for you, you're comfortable, good, right? Same as when we did Toes Pose earlier. You can lean forward if you need to, or for many of us, perhaps, we can come further back. Maybe all the way onto your elbows, maybe all the way onto your back. And if you come all the way onto your back, maybe you reach your arms up overhead, still on the mat, and clasp opposite elbows. And breathe. So there's been a lot of talk about privilege, and I know that, you know, the people, I have no idea who's out there watching me right now, but I know that the demographic of my class tends to be mostly white people, and that's actually a kind of tricky thing in the yoga industry right now, is that it's lots and lots of white people in the United States, and how do we diversify access or broaden access to yoga, because yoga is hardly for one race. But anyway, so I recognize that I'm assuming that I'm speaking largely to a white audience here, and that means that lots of us have privilege. And it's okay to have privilege, right? I mean, we do have privilege. It's not whether it's okay or not. It's what do we do with that privilege? Nobody's mad at us. Black people aren't mad at white people for having privilege. But what black people are getting increasingly incensed about is that we don't acknowledge this privilege. We see our whiteness as right or the way, and we don't always recognize this privilege. And if my words are making you uncomfortable, that's okay. Maybe the reason we come to our mat is to be able to put our bodies in positions that make us uncomfortable and learn how to tolerate it without reacting. And I'm challenging you to do that intellectually as well. If you're all the way laying down, come on up. Everybody come forward, all the way onto your hands and knees. Oh, shake your legs out a little bit. And step back into a high plank. And let's be uncomfortable and build some strength. So hold high plank. And if you're saying, damn, this is not what I bargained for, then you're welcome to turn off your computer or shut me down here. But I also invite you to embrace the challenge. Embrace the challenge. I'm not really even challenging you to do much of anything. Yes, I'm challenging you to hold plank. You can put your knees down on the ground if you want. We're only going to be here for a couple more breaths. What I'm challenging you to do is hear my words and not become defensive and maybe not shut me off. But say, yeah, I'm going to have some difficult conversations. I'm going to have to hear some things that make me uncomfortable. Come forward a little bit and lower slowly all the way to the ground. Untuck your toes, and let's come to cobra. So roll your shoulders up and back and down, and keep your elbows up and tight to your sides. And then inhale, lift your heart, lift your shoulders. Little or no weight in your hands for this first one. So allow the strength of this posture to be in your low back. Breathe. And then exhale, come on down. Turn your head to the right, bring your hands alongside your body, palms facing up. Things aren't always uncomfortable, right? We come in and out. An uncomfortable thing can be to acknowledge our own prejudice, and we all have prejudice, right? We all have prejudice. Prejudice being prejudgment about groups of people. Bring your forehead or your chin to the mat. Clasp your hands behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. And this time, let's lift everything. So lift your feet, lift your chest. Allow your hands to pull back. Lift as much as you can of your body off the mat. Maybe you can get your thighs up, maybe you can't. As much as you can just means that, as much as you can. And then release. Turn your head to the opposite side. Right here on the mat this time. Let your hands be alongside the body, palms facing up. Bring your head or chin, bring your head back to center. Bend your knees and reach back and grab your feet or your ankles coming into bow pose. So if you're grabbing your ankles, you can flex your feet. If you're grabbing your feet, it's a lot harder. And then lift again, lift everything you can. Breathe. Maybe letting the kick. Open your shoulders, open your heart. Another breath or two. And then release your feet, bring your body down. Put your hands underneath your shoulders and tuck your toes. Push up, high plank position. Lift your hips, downward facing dog. So down dog is often a nice counter position to the heart openers, which are also back bends. So allow your back to stretch and release here. And then look to the top of your space and make your way to the top of your mat. Bring your big toes into touch right now. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, fold. And rise up with a flat back. Bring your hands together overhead. And bring your hands into your heart. Let's come into chair pose. Sweep your arms up. Chair. Bring your hands in to your heart and let's twist. Bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Bring your left hip crease back a little bit. Even out your knees. Push your top hand into your bottom hand. Push your knee into your elbow into your knee. Maybe look up over your right shoulder. Rise back up again, chair. Hands together if you separated them and twist to the opposite direction. Bring your right hip crease back this time. Push your left knee into your right elbow. Push your top hand into your bottom hand. Rise back up again. And let's do a figure four standing. So bring your right ankle on top of your left knee. Your left knee is still bent. And bring your hands into your heart. You can stay here. This is a hip opener. Whoa. It's also a balancing posture. You can bring your hands down so that your forearms rest on your shin. You can bring your hands to a block, which if you're looking, you notice that I did already. You might bring your hands to your standing calf. Wherever you are, allow this to be the hip opener that it is. So you're trying to push your right knee, not with your hands, but you're trying to allow your thigh muscles to let your right knee come more toward the ground. So it's also an inner thigh opening, right? Almost like you're trying to roll your right inner thigh up. You're sticking your butt down. And then release. Stand up, shake it out. Inhale your arms up. Chair again. Left ankle on top of your right knee. And make all those same choices and adjustments with your hands. Letting the knee come down. And breathe. Maybe you're doing the same arm position on this side. Maybe you chose to do a different arm position on this side. Just allow that to be. And then come on up to standing. Scoop your arms up overhead. And bring your hands into your heart. Always trying to come back to a place of coming from your heart. And that includes being kind to yourself. Inhale your arms up. Bring your right elbow to your right knee. Your right elbow to your right rib cage. We're going to do dancer's pose. So you're going to bend your right knee, drop your hand back, grab your right foot from the inside. Bring your knees back together. If you had to separate them, and begin to kick your right knee straight back behind you. Let the kick open up your shoulder and actively reach out with your left hand as a counterbalance. And if you have furniture nearby and you're falling all over the place, why don't you touch some of your furniture or touch your wall? Because sometimes we need support. Right? And when we start to get off balance, maybe that's a time when we especially need support to help us regain our own sense of balance. Release and let's switch sides. Sweep your arms up and bring your left elbow to your left rib cage. Drop your left hand down. Grab your left foot from the inside. So you're hitchhiking your thumb back. Bring your knees back together and begin to let your left knee come straight back. Resist the urge to open up your hip so that your knee goes higher. That's a different posture. Well, I don't know if it's really a different posture, but you're not getting quite the same benefits that this posture was intended for. Reach forward and back at the same time. Breathe. It's really easy to become defensive because we don't want to be thinking of ourselves as bad people. And just because you've had release, I'll continue that in a second. Release, shake it out, and come to the top of your mat. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, put your hands down and step back, high plank. Lower chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Shift your shoulders forward and bring your right knee across your chest to your left elbow. I guess it's not really across your chest, kind of across your stomach. Bring your right knee back up again. Bring your right knee down the center. Forehead toward knee. Cat your spine. Bring your right knee back up again. Bring your right knee to your right elbow and then put your foot down on the outside of your right hand. Drop your left knee. Untuck your left toes and come on into runner's lunge. So toe heel your right foot up toward the toe heel your right foot toward the top corner of your mat and sink on down. Allow your elbows to come toward the floor. Soften your jaw. So as part of the change process, we will need to become aware of our own prejudices, and perhaps we are already, and it's okay to have prejudices. In fact, it's part of the human condition. We all have prejudices based on who we are, how we were raised, where we were raised. Doesn't make us bad people, it makes us humans. But being aware of our prejudices and the fact that these are prejudices can help us begin to soften around those things. Becoming aware of our own disadvantages and our own areas in which we do and don't have privilege is going to be an important part of the change. And just because you have, so some people might say, well, I've experienced trauma, or I grew up poor. Okay, that is true, and no one wants to take away the significance or the pain of those truths. But that doesn't mean you don't have privilege in other areas. We need to be able to be with the discomfort of acknowledging these things. And acknowledging on some levels our own complicity. Not necessarily conscious, right? We're going to move into side plank. So your left knee is on the ground. You can keep your left knee on the ground. Bring your right foot in and back and behind you. Left hand stays on the ground. You may need to reposition. And roll your right hand up, roll open. Right hand comes up to the sky. You can keep your left knee on the ground, or you can straighten it out. Stack your right foot on top of your left. Lift your hips up. Really engaging your left oblique muscles here. Left arm is working, right arm is reaching. Bring your right bicep by your right ear. Rainbow pose. Rainbows always come out after, well, they don't always come out after the storms. But you got to have the storm for the rainbow to come out. Bring your right hand back up, right hand to the ground, high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a breath or two in downward facing dog. Roll your weight toward your thumb and your pointer finger. Let your heels sink down. Notice it's not as hard as it was at the beginning, or notice that it's harder than it was at the beginning. And no, it's just a journey and it's a practice. Let your hips rise, let your heels sink, and then lift your left leg up. Shift your shoulders over your wrists and bring your left knee across your body toward your right elbow. Bring your right leg back, left leg back up. Bring your left leg down the middle toward your forehead, cap your spine. Rise back up again. And this time bring your left toward your left. Bring your left knee, come on into runner's lunge. That's what I mean. Drop your right knee down. Left hand, toe heel up toward the top left corner of your mat. And sink down to whatever degree you have. To whatever degree you're able. And tolerate. Right. We come to our yoga mat to experience, well, there's a lot of reasons, but I think that part of the thing that keeps us coming back is how good it feels. And I think that part of why it feels good is because we come into these positions, these shapes that challenge us. And we learn how to breathe into the challenge. And we learn how to not grit our teeth. And we learn how to show up in a softer and more present way. And I challenge you guys to take that off the mat. I challenge you to acknowledge that we, as white people, have grown up in a system that's much easier for us than it is for people of color. And that we don't need to give up what we have in order to help raise other people. And I invite you to acknowledge that this is all probably going to be kind of difficult. Right? Shifting equilibrium, challenging what we've always thought. And I'm sure that for all of us, there will be moments of wanting to retreat, and we do have the luxury to be able to do that. Wanting to step out of the discomfort, and that's okay. Side plank, right hand stays down, left leg comes back. Maybe your right knee stays on the ground. Maybe you lift your right leg up. Lift your left arm straight up. Chair pose. It's funny though, chair pose. So there's different perspectives, right? In Sanskrit, forward fold, halfway lift. Forward fold is Uttanasana. Half lift is Ardha Uttanasana. So Ardha means half. Bring your bicep by your ear. Be that rainbow. Bring your left hand back up. Left hand to the ground. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. And lift your right leg up. Bend your knee, bring it through, low lunge, spin your back foot flat. Rise to warrior one. Open to warrior two. Straighten your right knee and turn your toes in to touch each other. We're going to come into a pretty challenging posture. This is going to be our last big challenge, called the frog. So, for frog pose, if you know where we're going, you're probably groaning. Keep your feet wide. You can watch me if you need to. Keep your feet wide, and you might need to pad your mat a little bit for this. I'll finish that Uttanasana business in a minute. Keep your feet wide, and bring your knees down. And then begin to keep your hips back, but begin to bring your body down. So you're sort of in a kind of, sort of child's pose position, but your knees are much wider, and your feet are not coming together. Your feet are staying out wide behind your knees. And you just sink your hips, pushing your hips back, and breathe into this. Some people can lay down on the ground here. Some people's knees are going to be wider than others, and breathe into the discomfort. And challenge yourself to be as non-reactive as possible. So, Uttanasana is forward fold. Ardha Uttanasana is halfway lift. But maybe you notice Ardha in Sanskrit is half, but it's Uttanasana. So it's half forward fold. And the reason that I'm talking about this is because it's a difference in perspective. Right? It's a halfway lift, and it is also a halfway forward fold. And in this particular instance, that doesn't really make any difference. It's the same position. But my point is that similar things can look very different depending on where you're coming from, depending on your perspective. And this is going to be a time for us to allow our perspectives to be only that, our perspectives. And that there's different people having very different experiences. And that maybe now is the time to listen, regardless of how uncomfortable it may be for us. Be as non-reactive as possible. To breathe and to really be open to hearing. Okay, that's enough of this posture. So when I first started doing this posture, to get out of it, I had to crawl forward on my belly. So if you need to crawl forward on your belly to get out of this posture, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, maybe you can lift your chest and come back into some approximation of previous posture, which was a wide-legged stance. And we can, if you're on your belly, just join us. Come on back to a standing position. Tee your arms out. Turn to warrior two on the left side. So make your left knee, so you're probably going to be facing the back of your mat here. Warrior two on the left side, and then helicopter your hands down. Step back, high plank, chaturanga, up dog, the downward facing dog. And drop your knees to the ground and bring your feet out in front of you. We're going to do Dandasana, staff pose. Get my time here. Okay. Staff pose. Bring your palms to the floor if you can and sit up really tall. And then inhale your arms up and bow forward. You can grab your feet. Maybe you just let your hands rest. So frog that we just did is a hip opener. A lot less of a warm and comfy hip opener than our usual pigeon. You can always do pigeon, well, you can do whatever you want. You can do pigeon right now if you wanted. And then roll up and roll all the way down onto your back. And when you get to your back, hug your knees in, rock left to right. If that feels good. Find a place that does feel good. And then keep your right knee hugged in and let your left leg go long. Really hug your right knee in for a moment here, squeezing your knee towards your chest. And then release and take a spinal twist. And then back to center. Hug both knees in and switch sides. Really squeeze your left knee in here first. So let that be a posture of its own. And then take it across your body. Spinal twist. And before we come to Shavasana, one more posture, actually 2 more postures. So come on back to your back. We're going to go into plow. And I have to readjust it because of my furniture. Bring your palms on the floor by your hips and using some momentum, swing your feet up and overhead toward the floor. Maybe your hands come onto your back. If your feet touch the floor, you can clasp your hands and walk your shoulder blades together a little bit. If you would like, bring your hands to your back and lift your feet toward the sky, reversing the flow of gravity in shoulder stand. Moving your feet down toward the mat. Put your hands on the ground and roll down slowly in this time. Allow your body to rest on the mat, Shavasana. Arms alongside your body, palms facing up. Let your feet open. Let the tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Let your body be soft. Breathe. So, I want to read you guys a quote from Anne Frank. This is not the quote yet. We have so much unrest going on these days. There's so much changing. If you don't know who Anne Frank is, she's a young woman who went into hiding during the Holocaust and ultimately did die, but she kept this very famous diary. And in her diary, Anne wrote, "In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear the ever-approaching thunder, which will destroy us too. I can feel the sufferings of millions, and yet, if I look up into the heavens, I think that it will all come right, that this cruelty too will end, and that peace and tranquility will return again." That's my hope for us, that we make it through this. Well, of course we'll make it through this, but we make it through this to a place that's better for everyone, and that we bring our best selves, not our most defensive selves, to the struggle, to the forefront. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm going to leave you here. I'll be here again next week. Namaste. Any feedback, any comments are always welcome. I can also try to answer your questions. You can send me private messages. Thank you for allowing me to get a little bit on my soapbox today, and I hope that if it brought you any discomfort, that you were able to notice that discomfort. And for yourself, come to a place, don't judge yourself about that, right? Like I started out by saying, I've had some real difficult conversations this week that have made me very uncomfortable and that have made me confront and acknowledge my own prejudices, my own ignorance. And once we become aware of our ignorance, we can't do anything about things we don't know, right? I don't know what I don't know. But once we do become aware of our own ignorance, we're no longer ignorant. And then we need to start to make some changes. And I hope you can join me in this. I hope we can join and challenge and continue to strengthen each other.